Good evening, all. Welcome to the Avalon Universe live stream. I'm Alec Peters. I'm here with my good friends Josh Irwin, producer, director, writer of the Avalon Universe shows, and my other good friend Sean Patrick Kennedy, who is now playing a Klingon in Josh's show. So I'm just kind of here to get this thing going. And Josh said he wanted to do a live stream on our channel, and I said, let's do it on both channels. So please make sure you're subscribed to both the Axanar and the Avalon Universe channels. That is the best way to get all the news about everything that's happening on both productions. So how are you guys doing?
Doing good. Doing
Great,
good.
Alec. I love your theme song coming in there. You've always had a really strong theme song. Works out pretty well for your fan film and your live streams.
Yeah, that's a little piece of music, and one of the things that Alexander Bornstein did for Prelude to Axanar. So yeah,
it's great.
He's awesome. He's amazing.
I remember accepting the award for that for you
What's
guys.
that?
I remember accepting the award for that at the Widescreen Film Festival and bringing you guys the award for that.
Yeah.
So,
No, he got a couple awards because he's brilliant. The guy's brilliant. The guy has studied with both. He has been the assistant to both Hans Zimmer and Bear McCreary, and you don't get a much better pedigree than that. So, oh, good. So tell us, Josh, just give us the big picture of where we are with Avalon Universe right now. With all the different films.
I did a thing that I don't know if it's a good idea or not, but I did it in that, about, I don't know, probably about 7 or 8 months ago, I was talking with Victoria Archer, who's one of our actors, on the phone. And, life has changed a lot for her in the past 5 years, and it became a lot harder for her to be on our films. And we were trying to figure out a way to, to shoot her. And I said, what if, what if we did a thing where we brought you in for 3 days and we shot you out for the entire series, like every scene you have left in every film. And she loved that idea. And I thought about it for a minute and I went, why don't we just shoot the whole thing out? Like all of the Avalon films we have left, instead of just shooting one at a time, let's just finish. Let's just get it all done. Because, we've encountered so many things over the past 5 years, COVID, pregnancies and cast members, people getting Lyme disease, breaking hips, you name it, behind the scenes drama. And to me, you don't have your actors under contract the way you would on a CBS show or something like that. So it's just like, I figured the longer you drag this out, the more you're going to run into, hardship or adversity that you have to overcome. So I said, let's just finish it. Let's just finish it. And so, what we did is about 6 months ago, instead of just starting to shoot one film, we started to shoot the three that we have left: Knights of the Void, Crisis on Infinite Excaliburs, and The Once and Future Captain. And so you see a shooting weekend where, like, on Saturday, we'd shoot Crisis on Infinite Excaliburs, and on Sunday, we would shoot The Once and Future Captain. So you saw a lot of stuff like that occur. So we did 2 phases of filming. One was an Arkansas phase where we spent, 3 months in Arkansas, like October, November, a little bit in December, and then one last shoot in January for principal photography. Did about 5 different shooting weekends. And then we finished principal photography with a huge shooting weekend in Georgia where we went to Neutral Zone Studios and we did a big, crazy 4-day shoot there where we had 50 people on set for 4 days. It was the craziest thing I've ever done, the biggest shoot I've ever done, and it was amazing. And as we were, planning that out, one crucial element is that we needed a really great through line bad guy. We needed a great adversary to cap this all off. we had a character, but because we've had to turn over our cast a little bit, things happen. We needed to find a new actor to play the ultimate bad guy at the end of this. And you, Alec, had done me the amazing favor of introducing me to Sean here, who is just an amazing guy. And he was telling me about himself, martial arts, former athlete, huge acting background. And I thought, man, this guy would be the perfect villain. He would just be the perfect actor to play the main villain of the whole thing. And I wasn't sure if he would do it, man, this guy seems like he's maybe too cool to be in our films. And I reached out to him and I said, would you be willing to be in our film? And I got to tell you, he committed 250% to doing it. Really immersed himself in it, helped us out with it, really got big into not only everything from how the makeup of the character to costuming of the character to even when we got on set, taking what was written, getting with Tyler and coming up with a really interesting improv like battle scene that they did on the bridge that was so perfect for Avalon Universe. It was lighthearted, fun, entertaining, and it was neat to be able to have the caliber of actor like Sean and Tyler, because Tyler's proven over and over again that I can trust him with improv, and he's going to take whatever's written in the script and make it better. And so I handed that final battle on the bridge off to Sean and Tyler, and they came up with an amazing scene that was entertaining even while you're watching it being filmed. And we had a great time doing it.
That's awesome. And so so in the grand scheme of things, you're ending you're ending Avalon Universe. How many more episodes you got to go?
So we have 3 films left that are part of what, I would refer to as the core story of Avalon Universe. And, after that, we're going to do some other things. We're going to do a couple of anthology films. One is going to be an Axanar crossover that will star Crystal. She'll be in it as the captain of an Ares class during what the 4 Years' War looks like in the Avalon universe. It won't be the same 4 Years' War as Axanar. It'll be in our continuity and be a little different. The story's inspired by Interlude. So it'll be kind of like, how did the Interlude events happen differently in the Avalon universe? And that will be an interesting story that we'll do. And then after that, we're going to kind of take a break and assess what we want to do next. Do we want to tell different stories? Do we want to come back and revisit the same characters? Kind of the sky's the limit. I may like today I shot a Jurassic Park fan film with Glenn Wolfe. I may go off and do some Walker Texas Ranger fan films or something for a while, but we're going to finish up the core story of Avalon Universe and then take a little break and figure out what do we want to do next.
I've lost you.
Okay.
Alec, I can't hear you.
Sorry, I muted
There
myself so you wouldn't. So which is the film that Sean is in?
Okay, Sean's going to be in 2 of our films. One is we're going to have kind of a foreshadowing thing that happens in a film called Knights of the Void, which is going to come out here in just like about a month and a half or so. And so because he's taking over the role of the through line bad guy, we're going to do some things in there to foreshadow him and show him and introduce him to the audience with some shots that we're going to incorporate that he's already shot. And then he's going to make his ultimate appearance in The Once and Future Captain, which is the final Avalon Universe film.
Gotcha.
Your story.
Is that my Mark Hamill lightsaber moment? Is that what that is? Okay. All right.
and
by the way, I just want to correct you on something. It's not pronounced Arkansas. It's Arkansas, and everybody knows that. So All right.
And yeah.
And is Tyler the protagonist in all of these episodes?
Yes. So Tyler, so you got two interesting things going on here. It's like parallel heroes' journeys. We have our crew of the USS Excalibur and a character named Michaela Allenby, who is sort of a hero character there, who's the female hero character. And then you have Tyler's character, Captain Derek Mason, who is the other hero character. And so both of these two characters are on these parallel heroes' journeys through different films. So like Knights of the Void will advance the hero character story for Tyler, and then Crisis on Infinite Excaliburs will deal with Michaela Allenby's next hero's journey, and then they'll meet together in the Once and Future Captain, and they'll both save the universe in their own way.
Gotcha. Oh, sorry, that's my cat making noise. Gotcha. And so Sean, where did you shoot? Did you shoot in Arkansas or did you shoot in Georgia?
I shot in Georgia at the Neutral Zone Studios. It was really pretty cool. It reminded me a lot of when we originally used to go to Ticonderoga back in the old days. But it's like something in between. It's a lot like the CBS set tour kind of look now, with its completion and all that stuff. But it's a working set. So, it's not going to be some mint condition, sparkly thing. It's going to be something a lot more like a used starship, like Scotty's sending the people down the hall to go scrub a little spot once in a while and this, that, and the other. But overall, it's amazing. You're going down the hallways, you're on a Federation starship. And there's some really cool things. Like they had a brig, which was really cool to have the light, rails and all that. And, it was really impressive. It was cool. And then they also had like the battle bridge or the secondary bridge or whatever, the auxiliary bridge.
Auxiliary control.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then in the engine room, they have not only what you expect to see, but then they have a portion of the upper hull coming over the top. And it's like, wow, that's like way up there, really cool. And you feel immersive, like you're in like when you go to Universal and you're at Harry Potter and you're like all immersed in the world. And it's like, it's this everywhere. So it was really cool. It was great.
Very cool. Yeah, very cool. I'm looking over the comments and we have, it looks like we have a nice mix of people. Let's see. I'll even tell you. We got 32 people on the Axanar YouTube channel, 7 on the Aries YouTube channel, and 7 on the Avalon Universe YouTube channel,
Very
as
cool.
well as 7.
Thank you, everyone.
So thank you everyone for coming out.
I don't know if Jurassic Park's going to be on the Avalon channel when we finish it. It's a project for my friend Glenn Wolfe of Warp 66 Studios. I don't know if he's going to put that on Federation Files or another channel. We'll figure it out. But it was a fun little detour to go do that today. And my oldest son got to be in that shoot, so that was fun as well.
How old's your oldest son?
Shout out to Glenn Wolfe. We remember Glenn from Ticonderoga.
Yeah.
Yep. My son is 16.
Oh wow. Okay. Very cool. Very, very, very cool. So how many days did you shoot in Arkansas, and how many days did you shoot down in Kingsland, Georgia?
So we did 5 shooting weekends in Arkansas. So probably 10 but somewhere between 10 and 12 days, because there were some Fridays that we shot on as well.
Wow.
So somewhere between 10 and 12 days. And then we did 4 days in Kingsland. So we put in
consecutively.
Yes, consecutively in Kingsland. The 10 to 12 days in Arkansas were broken up into weekends. So, it would be like, and that was dependent on, that was another weird thing where it was like, we'd shoot based on who we had available that weekend. So like we'd go, okay, we have Warren Hawk this weekend. So this is the Warren Hawk weekend, and we'd shoot with him that weekend. Or this is the weekend that we have Victoria Archer. So we would shoot with her that weekend. Or Vance is coming down this weekend and we'll shoot with Vance this weekend. So it was actually sort of, the schedule was dependent on whatever guest was coming in that weekend, and then our series regulars would then come in and shoot with whoever was coming in from out of town. So we did our shooting schedule based on the guest that weekend, essentially.
Gotcha. And by the way, I want to remind everyone.
How did you get through all those hours and all that craziness? I mean, lots of Quattro Triticale, you know what I mean? That kind of stuff. I mean,
oh man. Yeah, it wasn't easy, and it's been a tale of the extremes. I can tell you that, where we had days when we were shooting in Arkansas, because you don't want to shoot in the summer, because neither one of these studios, Warp 66 in Arkansas or Neutral Zone in Georgia, neither one of them are climate controlled. And so if you try and shoot in the middle of the summer, you'll die. We've done that, where we've shot in June, or we've shot in August, or we've shot in September, and you'd have to do something like go at 10 o'clock at night. And it was still hot. So I really wanted to shoot in the winter this time around, because you can deal with cold, oddly enough, better than you can deal with heat. So in the transporter room, it would be like, there was one scene where it was 25 degrees while we were shooting in the transporter room. It was like 11 o'clock at night in December, and it was 25 degrees, but yet everybody was still having a great time. And then when we get to Neutral Zone in the beginning of March, one of those, it was 75, 80 degrees. And I was, getting dehydrated and overheated. So it was like the tale of the two extremes. And then I think we're probably going to do a pickup weekend in July, but we may not be going back to the studio for that. So that may be at a different location. So we'll just kind of see how it all works out. But I got to hand it to the Avalon Universe team. Everybody who came out and worked on it endured some crazy shooting conditions, some really long shooting days, the cold, the heat, going without sleep, early mornings at 6 a.m., you name it. Every single person that worked on our production just gave everything they had. And I want to take the opportunity. I wanted to say this on our live stream on Wednesday, and I didn't. I want to take a minute to talk about how fortunate we are to have Tyler Donovan as part of our production. He has, like Sean, he's given 250% for the past 5 years whenever he's been involved. And he's never asked for anything in return. He's never asked for creative control. He's never asked for money. He's never asked for anything. He has just helped out. He's just worked really hard. He's just done whatever I needed him to do. And we're fortunate to have someone of his talent, someone who has his charisma, his personality. He's very well liked by the fans, and he's given his all to this production from day one, and he has never asked me for anything. And that's a rare thing. It's a rare thing in film. It's a rare thing in fan films. Somebody just comes and gives 1,000% and asks nothing in return. And I am so very grateful for everything he's done for us, and that he has been a part of what we're doing.
And he takes a good punch too. So,
he did. I mean, they did this fight scene, and Sean was like, you got to understand, he comes to me and he says, okay, well, we're going to do this fight scene. And, I got some ideas, and Sean's a big guy. I don't know if you can tell from watching the live stream, but he's like a former college quarterback, athlete, big dude. And he's like, I'm going to do this fight scene, and I said to him, well, while you're thinking about this, imagine that you're fighting Michael J. Fox. You'll understand when you meet him. And Sean was like throwing Tyler around. He was like picking him up and just throwing him. And we had some crash pads, but they weren't really the greatest. And Tyler came away with bruises. He hit his head at one point. I mean, you want to talk
he did
about
that one on his own, though. I didn't hit his head.
no,
he did the roll.
Yeah, he does like a stunt roll. And he kind of, he did it something like 5 or 6 times. And on one of them, he kind of did it wrong and, kind of, hit his head a little bit. But damn if he wasn't back on the set acting 5 minutes later. You know what I mean? He has really given his all to this production, and I am beyond grateful that my best friend of 31 years is the lead actor of this project.
I wish you had the pictures of like that he sent me of like the bruises all up and down his arms and everything else. He was just, it was pretty. I mean, I felt terrible about it, but he was really giving. That was one of the things I loved about acting with him, was like everything I needed, he gave to me. And trust me, there were times where I'm looking at him and he knows what I was saying with my eyes. So it's just like, are you okay? You're good. You can do this again, right? Okay. Because you're going to land exactly the same place. Unfortunately, these crash pads are not the best, but they're what we have. And he was game. He kept lining up and getting right back in that position. And I didn't realize really quite the beating, because he took it really well. But when a few days went by and he sent me pictures of his arms and stuff like that, I felt really bad actually, because
it's not the first time he's let me do that kind of thing to him either. He was doing some stunts in Ghost Ship and he kind of hurt his ribs. Before we even started doing Star Trek fan films, we had Victoria Archer up on a ladder. We were doing a rain effect and we rained on him all night. Like we were doing the garden hose for the fake rain, and he's walking through the fake rain all night. He's an actor, man. He wants to act. He wants to be on screen. He wants to be a character, and he gives of himself to the art. That's all there is to say about it.
On the role that you were talking about, he asked my advice how to go from the chair onto the floor to do that familiar dive, go over the shoulder, tuck your head, and roll and be in a fighting position. And he just wasn't seeing it in his head, but he knew what I was saying. And when he went to do it, he nailed it. He was scared to death until the very, and I know he was, because he kept telling me, he goes, man, I just don't know it. And I could see it in his face. So then I knew it was his thing to do. There was nothing I could do to help him. I wasn't throwing him or anything like that. So he had to do it on his own. And he found a way to do it by just going for it and just trusting that the technique I was explaining to him was going to work. And other than one time where a pillow was slightly moved, which had nothing to do with him, like he nailed it right off the bat, and he was great. And as soon as he did it the once, it was like, wow, okay, I can do this. And but it's daunting when you're sitting that. People don't realize how high that chair is, and he had to dive from the chair, tuck his head, and land on the ground and roll off his shoulder and end up in a fighting position to lunge from. And that was really not. It's easier, said than done.
Mm-hmm.
And
that bridge, the classic Star Trek bridge isn't really configured well for like hand-to-hand combat to take place on it.
It's tiny.
It's smaller than it looks. But man, these two guys, they pulled it off. They made it. They came up with an interesting and entertaining on-screen battle that I think everyone's going to enjoy when the film comes out.
I hope you leave some of the outtakes in, because some of them were pretty funny. Like when I couldn't remember who I was the son of, I was like, son of a bitch.
Yeah, Sean was doing kind of this thing where even when he would flub his line, he would entertain us. And Tyler's like that too. Tyler, he creates every opportunity to turn something into entertainment, and that's what's great about both of them. And I knew that they would go well together, and they really did. And I'm excited for everyone to see what we have in store with these films.
And then what's next? What's the? Is this going to? I know you've got Crystal's film that you're going to shoot. Is that going to be the last one for the Avalon Universe?
It may be the last one that comes out for a while, because there's going to be these 3 core story films. We're doing some crossovers with some other, like there's a Vance crossover, there's a Tales from the Neutral Zone crossover, and then there's a film I'm going to do with Jim Von Doltrin called The Omega Probe, which is kind of where we really turn Borg, and it's more later on in the timeline. It's gonna be, Borg and zombies, a little, kind of a thing going on there, where there's going to be some zombie Borg fusion and a Borgified space station and some neat things. And that's really just in the planning stages. Then the film with Crystal. And then after that, it's like, who knows what we're going to do. So, yeah, but it'll take, look, even though we're saying, okay, we're crossing the finish line or whatever, we're still going to have like, 4 or 5 films that come out over the next 2 years, so it's like, there's going to be plenty of releases that come from between now and 2024. And so it'll be, you'll probably stop seeing new content at the beginning of 2025 for a while, but heck, by then we may have figured out what we want to do. So there's no telling. I mean, the possibilities are endless.
Dave Alexander, our good friend Dave Alexander, who works for NASA. Dave, just put Avalon Universe into your YouTube search and the channel pops right up.
Avalon Universe Star Trek, and boom, there it is. And we've got 14 films on there that we've made over the past 5 years. When we started this journey in 2018, it was a thing where I'm just talking to Vance on the phone. I'm just having a phone call with Vance, and he's like, "If you've always wanted to make a Star Trek fan film, why don't you do it?" And he's like, "You could go to Neutral Zone Studios. You could shoot there." And it was just a concept in, June of that year. Okay, let's do that. We went and shot. By September, we were shooting the film. We were shooting Ghost Ship. And 6 weeks later, on Halloween, it premiered on our YouTube channel. And I thought we would get 6,000-7,000 views, 10 someday. And, 5 years, 7 years down the road, we'd be like, remember when we made that Star Trek fan film? That was a lot of fun. 500,000 views later, we were like, maybe we're on to something. And we decided to keep going. And so like I came up with the whole through line story that we've been able to develop. And it's been a lot of fun.
And how many Avalon films have you done so far, or are working on? How many total?
I want to say we've done 12 or 13 that have been released.
Wow.
And we have 3 left. So it'll be like 16 by the time we're finished, which is weird, because when I envisioned the overall core story of Avalon Universe, I only envisioned there being 4 stories. I only ever thought there would be 4 Avalon Universe films. It was always created with an end in mind, because, it's like, you can't sustain something like that for forever. People's lives change. Like I said, with Victoria Archer, for example, when we started out, I think she was 19 years old in college, young adult, just starting the dream. 5 years later, she's a wife, she's a mother, she's a business owner, she's a dance instructor. She's got so much has changed in her life. And the same is true of all of us. I mean, COVID changed my life immensely. And so it was like, I just didn't feel like we'd be able to do it for just, forever. And so I envisioned a story that had an end, that had a shelf life. And for me, I want to cross that finish line. I want to finish what I started. And somehow it's gone from being 4 stories to like 13 films. But hey,
and who'd have thought at the end the Klingons would win and wipe you guys out? It's just great.
I know, right? Yeah. I've always wanted to mess with the audience like that. Let the good guys die,
Oh, look at that. We got a $10 super chat from Madcat15. They brought
Mad
back
Cat.
NC-171D, and that episode is a fan favorite. Axanar is amazing. Can't wait for the movie. That speech in Starfleet headquarters was amazing. Well, thank you, Mad Cat. Again, won't be a movie. There's 2 more episodes of Axanar that we are working on. That we've already shot 10 out of the 17 actors, and we have a few big surprises coming your way. But yeah, we are working away with it, and so thank you very much. Mark and I have been reviewing the assemblies of what we've shot so far and making changes, which is nice. It's nice that we've been able to spread it out, because I'm literally rewriting lines for people that have not been shot yet, based on what we assembled. But yes,
I'm impressed with what Mark and Jeff have been able to do in those shoots. When they came on board and we did that shoot in November, and I was so impressed with their work, and I thought, man, these guys are really going to get it over the finish line. It was a great idea to bring them on board.
Yeah, I know it's. I mean, right now we literally have rough cuts of both episodes 4 and episodes 5, which are of course incomplete. There's a lot of actors that have to be dropped in, so there's slugs in there. But we have like a temp voiceover track, so we can paste it out and see how everything's going, and making changes to episode 5. Episode 4 we're kind of cool with. Episode 5 we just made some big changes to, including the ending, like literally the last dozen lines that are smoking, and it's pretty damn good. So yeah, so we're excited. It's right now we're just working on our last 2 shoots, which may morph into our last 1 shoot. We've taken two more of the actors from California, from the LA shoot we were going to do, and move them to Atlanta. And now I'm just thinking, why do we want to do an LA shoot at this point, it may be easier just to fly everyone into Atlanta. I had 2 of the roles haven't been cast either, and so it may just be that
There's an actor right there.
So we'll see. We'll see what we're doing. But so thank you, Mad Cat 15. We greatly, and yes, referencing Picard. If you haven't seen the latest episode of Picard, just like really after this, after you watch Starfleet Tactical at 10 o'clock, go watch Picard, because otherwise it's all going to get spoiled for you on social media.
Yeah, if you haven't watched it by now, you kind of deserve.
Yeah, it's like, what are you waiting for, dude? You've seen a million shots of the NCC 1701D bridge. So yes. One funny thing to comment regarding that.
Vance, our good friend Vance Major, he's got this little conspiracy theory that CBS steals a lot of their storylines from his fan films. and he's talking about this all the time. He's like, well, see, they had an Admiral Charles Vance, and all of this, but so he'll go down the rabbit hole of this happened in my fan film, and then it happened in Discovery, and this happened in my fan film, and then it happened in this show. And he watched Picard, and he was just bawling. He was just like, I've watched this so many times, and I'm crying. I love this episode. And I commented, I'm glad you like this episode, Vance. You wrote it. And then basically wrote out a synopsis of how it's the exact same plot as one of his fan films, which it is. It's literally the same. I lined it out. This is the plot of Vance's fan film. This is the plot of the Picard episode. And he starts laughing his butt off. And he's like, you son of a bitch. So,
also Vance has so many fan films.
Yeah, he's made
he's
like
written a lot of stories.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I know. So I'm not surprised there's some crossover there. But oh gosh, look! And Mad Cat drops another.
Going all the way back to the very beginning of Axanar, where we were at Vegas, and you had me in the table reading the part of Garth. And that was great because we all finally got
a that was 2013, I think.
Yeah, I still have that.
Before we did Prelude.
I still have that script. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was before we even shot Prelude. I remember Nick Cook was there and David Gerald was there, and yeah, that was a fun
table read. That was a fun table read, actually.
Yeah, that was good. That helps a lot because and David was the one who suggested you really want to, and I think it's true. He said you really want to hear it. It's one thing to see it, but you want to hear it, and that's true. I mean, stuff. I was really pretty bullish on my script for the next 2 episodes of Axanar, and once you shot it and started putting an assembly together, you're like, yeah, that doesn't work the way I wanted it to work, or the flow is not right, or and certainly one of the things we've talked about is how they always say in Hollywood, they always say in the classic 3-act structure, you in the first act you put run a cat up a tree, in the second act you light the tree on fire, and in the third act you save the cat. So that's why like one of the top 2 books on screenwriting in Hollywood is called Save the Cat. And so here we are writing a trilogy, and we kind of feel like Prelude ran the cat up the tree, and episode 4, The Gathering Storm, is really lighting the tree on fire. And yeah, there was, after we were going through that assembly, we were like, oh, we got to raise the stakes. It's just it's and that comes in what we're conveying, what the actors are saying, but also who's saying it. We have like this amazing actor now whose name I can't tell you, or I'd have to kill you, but and I'm like, screw this, give him my lines. It's like he's so much better. It's not just that he's good, this guy's got gravitas coming out of his ears. I mean, I'm like, I want to hear that guy say that line, So we've changed it, and it changed it for the better, And Mark sends me notes. Mark will do it and send me notes, and he recently sent me a note, and I was able to solve it by giving more lines to another actor who we're like, oh God, yeah, we used that actor in episode 4, but not in episode 5 until the end. Can we get, because also we've got actors and we're flying these actors in, and you're giving them 8 lines, and I'm like, that's not enough. We need to give them 20 lines. They're going to be.
Sounds like George Takei would love you. Give them lines. Say George Takei would love you. It's the opposite. Give me lines. There you go.
Yeah,
I think it's probably a good idea. A lot easier to shoot in Atlanta, a lot more affordable. You'll be able to have a lot more of your core supporters there to help. So yeah, I think that's a good call.
Well, also, we also want to do the BTS interviews, and we can do that on the bridge. And we also want to do their audio drama work, which we do at Dana's house in his studio. So there's a lot to be said for doing that. So
makes sense.
Yeah. So we'll see. So
audio drama is so much fun too, because you can use your mind to put yourself in a place to, you don't have to have all the special effects and this, that, and the other, and it's great when you can do audio stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of, it is a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. So, what else do we need to know about Avalon? What's that?
Well, this is important. We did this shoot in Georgia, and we kind of didn't foresee how big it would be, and so we had we had 50 people on set for 4 days. And so we had food, all those kind of expenses, and we went massively over budget. Before the shoot, we raised about $2,500 in crowdfunding, and we ended up spending like $7,000. So what I would say is we still have an active GoFundMe for that shoot, and we still have outstanding bills that we need to square up with. We, somebody rented a car, someone else had a flight. They're just some things that we still need to kind of square up with on our expenses. So, it'd be great if anybody could help us out with that crowdfunding, which is still active.
Yeah.
I can message that to you, Alec, real quick. Let's see here. Oh, let me find it. I was just there.
Well, we were blessed. We had some really good volunteers, and though I brought somebody on board that, was an Academy Award winning makeup artist through the, Doug Drexler helped me get Kevin Haney out there, who won the Academy Award for Driving Miss Daisy, all that cool makeup that happened with their aging as they got older in that movie. And then he also worked on The Hunger with David Bowie, as well as with Doug Drexler. He was one of the people that worked with him on Dick Tracy, but we were lucky enough to get him to come out. And I took that on my end of things to make sure that he was there. And then he graciously, and this had nothing to do with an agreement that we had, but he graciously took his vast makeup kit and really helped out and took care of a lot of people. But everybody was pitching in. It was really pretty amazing to watch this symbiotic group of people that were doing everything they could to make things go forward, even beyond whatever their means were at the time. It really worked out great.
It's interesting, for CBS or whatever, you watch an episode of Star Trek on CBS. Well, you pay for that episode of Star Trek through your Paramount Plus subscription. We can't make money off these films, but we lose money. I've spent $50,000 over the past 5 years on Avalon Universe, and
which kid misses college? Have you picked which kid it is that doesn't get college?
The thing about that,
just like in the grades, you don't get college.
He had to give one of his kids away.
We're in good shape with that because my wife is a college professor. So
you lucky bastard.
We've got kind of a good thing figured out for that, thankfully. And the first one that's going to college is like a brainiac, so he's not going to have any issues getting into college. So, but it's I've put tens of thousands of dollars into this over the past 5 years. So I'm definitely doing my part. But I mean, anything that anyone can contribute to our crowdfunding to help us, shore up some of that hole would be really helpful and greatly appreciated.
Yeah. What I had forgotten, Alec, was that Kevin actually worked on Prelude to Axanar and did the makeup on Richard, our dear friend Richard Hatch.
That's right.
So,
yes, he
did an amazing job. Richard looks so good.
Oh yeah, no, Kevin's great. Kevin's fantastic. I mean, he did great work. Great work. We just couldn't. Unfortunately, I asked him for a budget for makeup for Prelude to Axanar, which at the time that I asked him, we were figuring we were already in the studio and we were figuring the budget was around $1 million all told.
Right.
And he gives me a budget that was like $600,000 for makeup.
Right.
Like, yeah, we can't afford that.
Yeah, no, Kevin is awesome, but he ain't cheap.
No, he's not. He's not. And I was trying like, we're a new media project. You got to understand, this is not, And meanwhile, Christian Goss was like, no, we got to pay. I'm like, dude, where are you? That's 60% of the budget for me. What are you thinking about?
But it was amazing. Yeah, it was definitely amazing. But I'll tell you,
Kevin's awesome. He's fantastic.
Yeah, and he definitely did not charge $600,000 for what we were doing. But he was really, really good. And like I said, when it came to all these other Klingons, which I didn't really know what the deal was when it came to all that. I figured there was going to be like a group of people doing what they could, and they probably would have. but Kevin was like, nah, come on over here. And he's like, just dolling them up. And he definitely had to doll up your buddy Tyler because, man, he was just a wreck. But, you know.
Well, what was really neat, you know, there were so many cool things that people did. One of my favorite stories is when we did that fight scene. We've got this really nice, you know, Avalon Universe tunic that Tyler wears, and we trashed it during that fight scene. Just wrecked it, and we had to start that day. We started that shooting day 3 hours behind schedule because one of our other actors was 3 hours late getting to set and then didn't know his lines. Won't say who it was, but
it wasn't me.
It wasn't Sean. We were behind. And so what we had to do is I was gonna go from one scene and then shoot all these bridge scenes where there wasn't a battle and then shoot the battle last. Well, what we ended up having to do is move the battle up. So because we moved the battle up, we just wrecked that tunic. Well, Glenn Wolfe was there, and he's our costuming and art department. And we had another tunic that wasn't a captain's rank, but it was the same size and style tunic, but it had some it had some rips in it and stuff like that. He takes that tunic, leaves the set, comes back 20 minutes later and has a brand new tunic with captain's braids and everything ready to go for Tyler. And we just switched out tunics and kept shooting. And then we later on fixed the one we wrecked during the battle. And it was just like, man, if he hadn't have been there, we would have been so screwed.
Yeah. Well, you could have done the Shatner thing. You could have had the torn chest with the lipstick line across the chest, you know? Could have done that one.
Yeah.
You know? With the bat lift, you know, just go across. You know, there you go. We could have worked it into the script.
Well, guys, we're gonna we have another stream that starts at 10 o'clock, so we're gonna have to get going.
Okay.
Listen, thanks to everyone for joining us. We appreciate it, and thank you, Madcat. We want to thank you for your super chats. That is awesome. Greatly appreciate it. I see a bunch of names we haven't seen here before, so hopefully you'll stick around. The live stream, you'll see it. Starfleet Tactical. It starts at 10 o'clock. I'm going to go grab my coffee to make it through the next hour or so. Probably walk the dogs real fast. But
if you can, check out our Avalon Universe fan films on the Avalon Universe YouTube channel.
Absolutely. Just look, go into the YouTube search and search Avalon Universe, and you'll find them. Make sure you subscribe to the Axanar Newsletter down there, because that's how you get all the information on not just Axanar, but if you go to our website, axanar.com, it covers all sorts of Star Trek fan films. Jonathan Lane does articles on there all the time. So please, you know, we try and be a source for information on all fan films, not just Axanar. So,
from the beginning, you've used your forum to promote us, to promote other fan films, and I'm really grateful for that.
And I do want to add one thing about Alec. You know, I've known Alec now for the better part of 10 years now, Alec.
Yeah.
And you know, I was with him when he was in Ticonderoga. You know, he's a super strong personality. He's a go-getter. He's the type of person that gets things done. I saw what he did up there in New York to help make that go from what it was to where actually a portion of that is today. You know, he doesn't get a lot of the accolades that he actually really deserves. He put a lot of work into that to get them to the next step. He not only did that, but he continues to do things like promote things like Avalon Universe. And no matter what's gone on in the past, he is continuing forward and making sure that Axanar gets out there to the fans under the new parameters that there are for that. And, you know, I know for a fact by the way that he is going back to all the things he's done in his life up until now, that he will make sure that those things do happen, because that's who he is. He gets those things done. He does the little things, you know, he doesn't matter. He doesn't care about having a thin skin or something like that. He moves forward. And ultimately, Axanar is going to be amazing. Avalon is going to be amazing. And you know what? We're all here to do Trek, and that's all there is to it. This is some fun stuff. And And I'm just glad to be a part of both those universes and also a part of the universe up there in New York. And let's just keep it going. Let's just do Trek and have a good time.
Absolutely, guys. All right, everyone. Thank you very much. It's great seeing everyone. And we'll see you if you stick around. Just jump into the Starship Tactical live stream that starts here in 5 minutes, because Chris has got more great stuff, and it's always a lot of fun talking the technical side of our universe. But watch Picard next week, the final episode. I'm sure it'll be gangbusters, and we'll see and we'll see everyone around the galaxy, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Josh. Great.
Live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper.